Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hang on Monday night. We're here with a whole big group of folks that you got to recognize. And if you don't, where you been? I've got a topic that I thought we'd do a round robin with, which is what we usually do on Monday nights. I was trying to figure out how to present the topic, but I'm going to go ahead and just say it. And then I'm going to ask you guys what your perspective is on this. So I've got a couple of friends that recently retired from DJing. Got more than a couple, actually.
Quitters.
Well, one of my friends, Wavy Davy, he wanted to get out of it because weddings were becoming like an all-day event. And Dave always gigs with his wife. It's what they do together just for fun on a Saturday. And I hope I'm not speaking out of school, Wavy, but they don't need the money. They're professionals. They've got the dough. They do this because they enjoy it.
Right.
They love to DJ. Well, the all-day weddings became way too much for the missus. So Dave's like, all right, we're not doing weddings anymore. And then he said, look, the only way I'll do a wedding is if it's 4 hours long. Now he does 4-hour weddings.
Wow.
He'll go in after dinner and go from like 8 to midnight and done. And he has a clientele for this. This is exactly what he wants to do.
Cool.
I've got another friend over in the UK, Jason Early. Some of you may know him.
I know Jason.
Jason.
Oh, yeah.
Jason recently retired, but he's been offered these gigs that are like 50s and 60s music, which is his jam.
Yeah, that's his wheelhouse.
He's coming out of retirement to do these gigs because they're so exciting to him.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Going around the room, and I'll just go in order here. This is what I'm seeing on the screen. I'll call you out. What would be the type of event that would bring you out of retirement? You're done for whatever reason it happens to be, but this thing comes along and you can't say no. I'm going to start with Eric because he's the first one I'm looking at here on my screen. What would be the gig that would bring you out of a retirement?
AA. No, I'm sorry. I thought you said J.
I was going to say GA, but honestly, I wouldn't mind the oldies gig, the 50s, 60s, 70s, if there was a such thing or such calling for that. Weddings, I get it. They're all day, most of them, and take a lot of energy out of everybody, and including the bride and groom. Now,
yeah,
there's a lot of energy in a wedding before the date, before the event. By the time the event comes, you're done with it. You're like, this ain't over yet, So, I mean, if you can get like a nightclub gig, I would probably do a nightclub gig out of retirement, just because I do love doing what I'm doing. And I'm still trying to get over the fact that you have friends, but that's all I got to say.
Yeah, well, I know. I know.
You got a few. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a couple maybe.
Now,
how about you? Go ahead.
Club thing. I would do the nightclub thing.
I mean, go fantasy on this. I mean, what would be the thing that you would just love to do? You're done with DJing, but this comes along and you got to do it. This is all fantasy stuff.
Oh, well, you're talking not non-DJ?
No, DJ stuff.
Oh, okay.
Out of DJ retirement.
Okay. All right. My answer remains.
Your answer was good.
Yes.
Buddy, what would bring you out of a retirement? What type of event would you just have to do?
Well, considering that, I love doing my weddings, but if I decided to retire and something to drag me out of it, I think it would be for a celebrity event.
Yeah.
Someone famous coming to me saying, hey, you know what? Be it whoever it is, a movie star, TV star, music star, whatever, whoever it is, saying, hey, you know what? I watched you on Twitch. And I know you do a lot of 90s stuff, and I want you to do this, or I want you to do that, or hey, I saw you at a wedding, and I liked how you did stuff. I really want you to do this for my event. Sure. I know you're retired, and if the money's there, and if I have the creative plate I can do with and be able to do what I want to do, I would probably say yeah. But other than that, if I go retired, I probably stay retired just because of the fact that I'm done with it.
Right.
But I don't plan to retire anytime soon. So
Okay, let me just push you a little bit here, buddy. You said celebrity event, right? You didn't say specifically celebrity wedding. You said celebrity event, an event for a celebrity. Who would the celebrity be? Let me just
Mark
push you.
Wahlberg.
if
Because
Right.
John gets you win.
if I had to go for someone, he and I share the same birthday and the same year, which is kind of funny. But Carl Urban, he's a movie star. You've probably seen him in Dread. You've seen him in a few other in the movie Red.
Okay.
Star Trek. He played Bones in the newer Star Trek movies. So him and I share the same birthday and the same year, so we're both the same age. And if I had a chance to meet him and DJ for him, I would take it because
That would just be no question.
Oh, yeah.
DJing for
oh yeah,
this
it'd be really
celebrity
cool.
that you like. Yeah, right on.
Oh yeah, I like his work. He does and movies he's been in, TV shows he's been in, Almost Human, another TV show he's been in. You know, so he's
He's your
to me, he's
guy.
a real cool guy. So it's someone who I'd love to meet.
I've been like Jennifer Lopez or something, but that's me. That's me. There's
Let's
Everybody's
face it,
got
you
their
were-
do
thing.
what you got to do. Kylie Minogue.
Kylie Minogue for you.
Kylie
You know,
Minogue.
I know
Yeah,
that.
If the opportunity arrives, you'd probably volunteer your services, right?
Well, that we're getting paid.
I
We're
don't
getting
know.
paid. We're getting paid, and they can
say I
afford
would like
it.
to have some conversation because again, it's like anything. But if I, again, depending on what's going on, if I can get like a picture and autograph with him, maybe I'd charge a little bit less. Something like that. Something for me, something for
Something
me.
that
and my
he
wife.
puts no effort into. Right? Exactly.
Yeah. If I can get a picture and autograph with him, I'll charge less. Other than that, it's just standard business kind of attire. John just did one with a famous celebrity. He there to provide music. He's 20, 30 feet away. His job is to provide music, not to interact. But if I can interact with that person, yeah, I would give it more of a discount. But if I'm not interacting, just doing an event, I can say, hey, I did an event for so and so.
Fanboy. John, aside from the infamous Mark Wahlberg.
Yes, the celebrity gig for his
Vodka thing,
new
yeah.
tequila.
Whatever. Alcohol. Aside from Mark Wahlberg, like reaching out to Johnny boy, you got to do my party. What would bring you out of retirement?
I don't think weddings in the East Coast would ever knock me into retirement. We don't go through the marathons like you and Wavy Davy do.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. The premise here is you're done. You're
Oh,
done.
we're done.
okay?
We're already done.
And then something comes along and pulls you back in, like in The Godfather, or
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, it would
That's
have
the
to, it would have
premise
to be
here.
decades. It was when first lit the fire to start DJing happened in the 80s. So any kind of retro thing, because at that point it would be so much further along. 80s, 90s would bring me back if there was some place that was going to have a
Yeah.
theme night. Because just like yourself, we know that up and down, and we know all the secret tracks to play. That's if you're not going to get that stuff on. Oh, we're just going to play a Spotify. No, we know more than Spotify.
Yeah.
But as I say, we're not killing ourselves either. Our ceremony started at 5:30. The party's done at 10, 11. We're not doing these 14-hour all day ridiculous weddings. So that would never be a case of that the wedding day got too long on the East Coast, anywhere from New Hampshire probably down to the New York border. It's just they don't run that long.
Right. No, I understand that. I'm just the premise again is that you've retired for whatever reason, you're burnt out, or you just don't want to do it anymore, or wedding dresses are starting to make you, twitch or whatever.
Yeah.
That thing. So
Well, yeah, it would be the ability to play the 80s music, because there was a period kind of mid-90s I kind of ducked out for a year or two. It was just the music was changing and everything was a ballad, and it just wasn't, and no one was looking for the throwback stuff because like it was too new. It wasn't retro yet. It wasn't cool to like the 80s anymore in the mid-90s. But then you get a little further down the line and you can start bringing that stuff back in, and it's like lo and behold, the Tilt-A-Whirl started up again in about 96, 97, and off I went, and I'm still here. So
sure.
but that's pretty much it.
So Matt, aside from an all Soundgarden 90s rock gig, what would bring you out of retirement?
Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Yay!
I mean, yes, but the thing is just
Can I change my answer?
I would.
The most heterosexual answer comes from Matt. Good for you.
It would be some sort of thing like that never done, never had the opportunity to do. Maybe playing at the stadium for my favorite team ends up happening to be one of the NFL's least favorite, the Atlanta Falcons. Something like that, something that is just, it takes a passion, or it's an opportunity that just something you haven't got to do before.
Sure.
I thrive off of that. And I think that would be the thing that would get me to load the gear up one more time.
Right on. Pastor Jay, you're done. You can't do it anymore.
Man, I can't imagine that day will ever come.
Well, I'm just,
I know the premise. No. I know that.
That's
I understand the premise. Yeah, I 100%.
Yes.
And I've been listening to the answers. I got kicked off, sadly, but the answers I did hear. I'm just in my head going through the gigs I've done that just stood out. I was lucky to do the Playboy Mansion. I've done a lot of, EDM style stuff through my job.
EVN?
EDM.
Oh, EDM. Okay.
EDM stuff, like side stage at EDC and stuff in Miami and this and that. And you know what? I think the thing that if I really, really quit, that if someone came up and said, hey, here's the premise, would you take the gig? It would be going back to what I did when I first started. Within a year of starting, I was opening for a band called Atomic Punks, when two of those members are now and have been in a band called Steel Panther. And my job at the time was not to mix. It was to pick really good late 70s, mostly 80s metal and play it for the crowd to get them excited. And I would do that in a heartbeat. If someone came along and said, I got a rock club, I need a DJ to open for, Anvil and bands that are no longer in style, but still tour, I'd love to do that. I would do that all day. So that would probably be it. But I agree with John. I'd have a tough time. I got 2 weddings this week and I'm excited about both of them. So I love what I do and I do what I love. And I'm fortunate. And I've said it before, people retire from jobs all the time. It's very difficult for me to think of retiring because you retire from what you do and not who you are. And I'm a DJ. So even when I'm not DJing, I'm still Shazamming songs and thinking of mixes. And we're DJs. Those of us in this room, we're true artists that, Picasso never retired from painting. Even when he wasn't painting, he was still an artist.
Right.
But like I said, if I did quit what I do and who I am, and someone said, what will bring you back? It would be playing heavy metal for a rabid crowd that loves a band. And you just have that audience of passion and you get to play a song and watch them erupt. That would be amazing.
Well, the reason I asked the question is because I was curious for one, but the other reason was, and I've heard this before, they do this kind of thing like in, I don't know, social workers do this kind of thing with people. It's like, if you could do anything, what would you do? Money's no object, whatever, what would you do? And then they would, I want to do this. I said, well, then that's what you should just do. Just do that. And I'm wondering if it's kind of the same thing with us. If we've got this fantasy of something that we'd love to do, why aren't we doing it? I understand we got to do what we got to do for the money, but ultimately, I mean, it would be really cool if we could be doing things that we really, really genuinely loved. And I know that a lot of you love what you do.
This is a life calling, Brian. This isn't something we just suddenly said one day on a whim, like, let's try this. Like, we've just always had this in our DNA.
Some of us.
Yeah.
Not all of us.
It's either
I think,
or it ain't, And
I think that
where it's in the blood, we're forever, I think.
I think it's the music. the question you're asking, Brian, is poignant. And it reminds me, years ago, somebody came up to me and we were talking about, doing what you love. And he said, if I guaranteed you right now, 100% you would not fail, what would you do with your life?
Right.
And when you're asked that question that way, it changes the dynamic because you're like, well, I would be the lead guitar player for Aerosmith, or I would do this. And it's like, now bring it down to reality. What would you do? And I think a lot of people would change what they do in general. I think a lot of office people would say, I'd love to play EDC and be a headline DJ, whereas we get to do that every time we gig. We're controlling the room. We're that person,
Yeah.
We're very fortunate in that respect. And I think at least this room, I know for a fact, we don't forget that. We don't take for granted. When you leave a gig, I don't care if it's 30 people at a wedding on a Saturday or a Friday or whatever, and you had that mix and you had those moments and you go home. I mean, I can't sleep. I hear Axl Rose talk about playing Rock in Rio with 200,000. He had a hard time getting to bed. I'm like, I know that feeling. I had a wedding with 45 people, but I had a couple of mixes that were so on point. I'm all jazzed up and excited.
I've been real fortunate. I've been real fortunate this year with Safe House, going back to the club, because that was really something I loved when I was young. I didn't know if I'd like it as much going back, but I do. I wish I had stronger audiences sometimes, but that's ultimately.
They need to hire better DJs because then they build a rep. Oh, you mean you in the club? I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
It's a different generation now.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, but the right people will catch on to that. You're there, and you're not pigeonholed into just playing millennial or
we're
whatever.
Gonna work it. We're gonna work it next year really hard next season. But I think I would do that job until the day I die, just because I love it that much.
How fortunate are you?
I really do love it that much, and it's
don't say you do it for free. Don't say you do it for free. This is a very highly listened and watched. Okay, I'm just saying.
The only way I would do it for free is if I was like independently wealthy, which I'm told.
No, I'd probably keep that quiet too, Brian. You got to get paid. Just
only Jay is that way right now. He's fine. But,
right.
Look, I got some cool friends I'm hanging out with.
Money was no object. Do what you love.
I got this. I mean, I'm good. I got Pulse. I mean, what more do I need? I'm genuinely really happy. I had a great day. It's like, because of being a DJ.
I get what you guys are all saying. Do what you love. And I love what I do. But every time I hang up the phone from booking a wedding, I immediately regret it because now the nightmare starts.
They're getting rough. They're getting rough. I'm experiencing it.
And it ain't just the day of. It's okay. We all require full payment 2-3 weeks, a month prior. So now you're driving an hour and a half to get to this gig, and you're like, I'm going out here for nothing. In reality, you're not.
Right.
But there you are. And then you're like, oh God, Jay's shaking his head. I'm sorry, but
no, I totally know what you're saying. And I've had this talk with other DJs that are like, how many hours did you spend? But they break it down and they come back to you with like, you made $34 an hour. I'm like, no, I just made $2,000. That's what I got. No, by hours, this and that. And I'll say it now and I'll say it before and I'll say it again. You know what I'm not? I'm not a businessman. I'm
not either. Oh my God.
Like I love
totally not
getting done at the end of the night and you get that tip or whatever. That's the high. The high is I can pay my bills. I can feed my family. I mean, I bought a house I went full time as a DJ, and a year later, I bought a house for my wife and son as a fucking DJ. Like,
don't misunderstand.
Look at me now. Like, I'm a DJ. I'm a wedding DJ, just like you, Eric, just like John, everyone else in the room. And I'm wearing this shirt, and this company is paying me to be here to do things because I'm a DJ. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
Whether
No,
you retire or not.
Don't
Love it.
misunderstand me. When I said I immediately regret it when I hang up, it's because I'm thinking all the time. And I understand, okay, $34-$40 an hour when you break it down. And then my point is, once I get to the wedding, I set up, I get into my second mode,
Right.
and everything's perfect again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? It almost
You know what I
reminds me
mean?
of?
That's
Now that
weird,
you-
right?
Now that,
It's
now
about
that you mention it,
schizophrenia, Eric, just by for future reference.
Split personality
When you-
disorder. Yeah.
Just
when you
wanna
hear
give
about,
you-
I remember hearing George Carlin talk about drugs and alcohol, and he said when you first start, consuming these things, it's all pleasure and no pain, and then it starts to change a little bit, and then there's this point where it's more pain than pleasure, and I kind of understand that with weddings sometimes in my area, because you beat your brains out for 30 hours, and then you're gigging for like 8 hours, and then maybe 3 or 4 of those hours are cool. So the pleasure and pain ratio is different than doing something that you love to do, some kind of party that just wasn't
won't
insane,
But
Some
that's-
party
I
that
think-
was just fun. Everybody was
Right,
relaxed.
but
there was no pressure.
I think it's the fail issue. The wedding I did last week, I had to do a site inspection. I had to drive on a golf course down the golf cart trail, no power. I had to use a battery pack. I made friends with the groom's uncle, and he walked over and he goes, "What is this music?" And I'm like, "Oh, that was when I thanked Buddy." I'm like, "Oh, this is Boyce Avenue." And the bride wanted acoustic for Prelude covers. And he's like, "This is so beautiful, man. What a great choice. This is awesome." I'm like, "Yeah, the bride asked for it. This is what I provided. Another DJ gave me this company, and this sounds great." But I was scared the whole time that the battery wouldn't work, that the speaker would die, that the mic would cut out. And you're stressed and dripping in sweat. Then we get through cocktail, the battery's still working, everything's good. I went over to the bride and I'm like, I just want to get to the dancing. I've got 6 hours of music set up for a 3-hour dance party. And every song, I was telling John, every song was a banger. And all I wanted to do was get to that. It was a phenomenal wedding. It really was a success. Got a beautiful thank you card from the bridegroom with a tip, the whole deal. But it's that stress. And then you walk away and you realize, Brian, you know what? Not everyone can do this.
There's a lot of moving parts.
A lot of people can play music. Spotify can pick choices. This one can do that. That streaming can do this. But actually making someone's very special day
Right.
a success. I've been married for 23 years. My DJ Kanan was phenomenal. Did everything right. The right announcements when, the right voicing, the right songs. Everything was perfect. That memory is not going to change in 23 more years or 23 more years. He had a great impact on my special day that I started with my wife, Michelle, and now I've got 2 boys and I've got a life. That's what we do, Brian. We make people's lives better, no matter how much work it takes, no matter how stressful it is. We at the end of it, we impact lives positively.
Yes,
and they'll never forget that.
They
want
this.
very good point.
This topic was supposed to be about selfishness. What do we want to do? Not what they want us to do. What do we want to do?
Right.
And
that's not who we are. If you're
that's
really
who I am.
DJ,
I want to.
Given.
no,
Given.
you're not, Brian. You're
no.
the least selfish
Hold on a
guy I
second.
know.
Hold on a second.
You're not selfish.
Hold on a second. I am not selfish, and I play to the audience. But what I don't enjoy is for someone who knows so little about what I do to tell me how to do my job, and that's what I get a lot.
Well, that's a given. Yeah.
That's a given.
I don't enjoy that. If they said, "Look, this is our audience. This is where they're from. This is," I say, "You know what? Let me know what kind of songs you like, and give me some direction. I want to get your personality in there." But yeah, I got you. I don't mind that. But when someone who knows nothing about my job tells me how to do my job, I don't dig it.
Yeah, I don't like
And
that.
that's what some of those weddings are.
Didn't they do that 20, 30 years ago when you started, though?
No, 20, 30 years ago when I started, you showed up, they were guaranteed their first song of the night, which maybe they picked, maybe they didn't. The wedding party dance was always to "That's What Friends Are For." Was it Elton John, Dionne Warwick?
No,
That's the one they always got. The father-daughter dance was always Daddy's Little Girl.
Yeah, Little Ray. Yeah.
And you just played music otherwise. That's really how it was. And I dug it. It was cool.
Yeah. Maybe once in a while someone walks up past the table. You got some Motown in there, right? Like, yeah, I got you. You're all good.
No, of course it's fun to get creative with those things and play things that are a little different or whatever. But that was the standard. And no, they weren't picking every song or telling you what to do. They might say, hey, we did country. So you'd play some John Denver and you'd play some Alabama for them. It was just, I don't know. It was different.
Like today's weddings are way different than but like you just.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm getting sick. And I'm not saying sick of the way things are today, but I still like the old way of weddings.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that, Eric, because if you think about it, we're old enough. We've been doing this long enough where we know it used to be different. The crop that's coming up now may not know the difference. This is just what they've always been doing.
Right.
So they're like, well, what are these guys talking about? It's always been like this. Oh, it wasn't always like this.
I always cut the cake after the first dance. It wasn't always like that.
Right.
That was one of the last things to happen because you didn't want everybody to leave. Yeah.
Right. And
actually, our choice in music today does not have to be what today's music is. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
At age, as I was Saturday, and I won't bring it up again. We talked about it before the show, what we did. And you don't have to always be the same Uptown Funk. And, you could be creative still and get that floor going.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You might be surprised. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and we're way off topic here.
That's
we're
okay.
way off.
That happens. And Howie's not here to lay the hammer down when you go off topic tonight. It's me. I'm a little more loosey-goosey that way.
Yeah.
So, Matt reminded me. Thank you, Matt. Sponsor, DJ Event Planner. They're sponsoring the show along with some of our other sponsors. You can check them out in the description of this video on YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. I'm going to go watch the Barbie movie with my kid.
Nice.
So
Enjoy.
maybe I'll come back later and hang out. But thank you so much for watching.